Freedom of speech versus national security. That was also on the agenda during my sit-down with a Republican frontrunner at Trump Tower.
You've said that you would talk to people like Bill Gates about closing that internet up in some ways, and it only...
No, not closing the internet.
But this is your words, closing that internet up in some ways.
Yeah, but you know what my words refer to. For ISIS, take those sections where ISIS is, knock out the internet. I think that's fine.
But you say
do one or the other.
You say only foolish people would raise concerns about freedom of speech.
Only stupid people. I'll go a step further. Can you imagine freedom of speech for ISIS? I'm not talking about closing it up in Miami Beach.
Right, but how do you do that? How do you accomplish that?
You do it technologically. These are very smart people. These are the inventors of the internet. We have the inventors of the internet, the smartest people on earth. They invented it. ISIS uses the internet better than us. ISIS recruits your kids. ISIS is recruiting our children using the internet. But this was one point I'm saying about the internet, and I couldn't believe it. I could see there was a little rustling in the audience because they're talking about freedom of speech. And I said, you have to be kidding. Freedom of speech for ISIS? So what I'm saying is, they are recruiting our children and the children of other countries to go fight for them. And I'm saying either close it up, or what I like actually better is to infiltrate the ISIS internet.
Well, I'd love to see the terrorists deprived of those online tools, but it may be complicated.
But now, just so I understand, I was referring to ISIS. I mean,
I understand. But in reaction to that, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, who also owns the Washington Post, tweeted that he'll offer you a one-way ticket on one of his company's rockets.
Well, I wouldn't go in his rockets. I don't like that world. You know, I've seen too many of those rockets exploding before they get off the ground. Right. I wouldn't like that. But I tell you what, you talk about Jeff Bezos. He bought the Washington Post, and he bought it as a thing to buy influence so that he doesn't have to pay tax at Amazon. That's in my opinion. He has influence because he's got power now.
He bought the paper privately. It's not
sure, he bought it privately, but he uses it.
It doesn't affect his Amazon.
Excuse me. Of course it does, Howard. Of course it does. He bought it privately so that he can influence people not to tax Amazon. Come on, I thought you were smart. Okay? And the only reason I said it is because the Washington Post, it treats me terribly. I mean, if I did 12 good things in one day, I would have 12 bad stories. It's terrible.
Well, speaking of...
But the press is very dishonest.
You've gone from calling journalists scum to sleazebags. But
yeah.
You also said this week...
Those aren't strong enough.
You also said this week that's not strong enough. You want to give us another activity? You said that CNN treats you better than Fox. Now, in terms of the commentators, Charles Krauthammer, George Will, Karl Rove, Steve Hayes, Rich Lowry.
They're terrible.
They have ripped you.
Although Rich Lowry is coming along very nicely. Right. Even today he has a nice article because he's getting it. He gets it.
And you have hit them back in speeches and in interviews and on Twitter. But would you say that Fox is unfair to you in its news coverage?
It doesn't matter. Because, look, when they do a story on me and then a guy like Krauthammer gets up and he's so angry, you could see he's crazed. George Will is crazed. They mention the name Trump and he starts to shake.
They don't think you're a real conservative.
Look, let me tell you. You know what I am? I'm a winner. I know how to win. I've been winning all my life. These guys aren't winners. Number one, they said I'm not going to run.
I know.
Okay.
And then they said you would just be a summer fling.
Then they said just have fun. Okay, now, not only did I run, I ran well, and I ran smart. And everybody that's come after me is gone. They're gone. They've disappeared from the earth, okay? And I've had plenty of them. Either gone or they're down to zero. And, I mean, Jeb Bush was supposed to win this thing, and he's, like, reduced to rubble.
You talked about CNN. So wasn't that long ago you said that CNN's Sarah Murray is a terrible journalist? You said NBC's Katie Tur is a third-rate reporter.
I'm not saying CNN treats me well.
New York Times. You're always at war with the media.
Even you were terrible when you were on Megyn Kelly. You've been great other than when you were on Megyn Kelly.
I just try to be fair.
I said, is that Howie?
I just try to be fair.
No, you weren't fair then. You weren't fair. You were not good there. More importantly, about the guys. I'm not treated well when they do a story and then I get Krauthammer commenting, or I get George Will, or Stephen Hayes. I mean, this poor guy. They mention Trump and he goes. It's like he becomes like a shaking monster. I never saw anything like it. The level of hatred is incredible. And you know the amazing thing? I'm pretty much on their side on most of the issues.
Bill O'Reilly said to you that you were being petty and thin-skinned and going after these journalists. I say you have every right to hit back when you're criticized, but you almost seem obsessive about it. So my question is it that you can't restrain yourself, or is it a strategy because a lot of your supporters despise the media?
It's neither. I don't mind a bad story when I do something wrong. Hey, when I do something wrong, a bad story, it doesn't even bother me. I'd rather not have it, but it doesn't bother me.
You said you're controversial.
But let me just
Many people think you're divisive.
I don't like a bad story or a false story or a false critique when I do something good. And they don't give me the credit that I deserve, okay? Which is, you know, not only don't they give me, I'll take something good, do something amazing, and they'll make it negative. So they're very biased. It wouldn't matter if I were Abe Lincoln doing the debate. Krauthammer will say negative. It wouldn't matter if I was William Jennings Bryant, because they say he was great. Unfortunately, we don't have too many tapes, right? But it wouldn't matter who I was. They have their critique written up about me long before the debate even takes place.
But does it help?
Look, they're dishonest people. So
dishonest because they disagree with you.
Yeah, and it's good when I fire them. First of all, it makes me feel good. Second of all, it takes away credibility. You have to fight for yourself. That's the problem with our country. We don't fight for ourselves. We don't fight. We're not respected anymore as a country. You have to fight for yourself. When you're right. Look, again, if they critiqued me and I thought they were right, I wouldn't be upset by it. But when you do something great and they try and belittle you, got to fight.
Donald Trump, thanks very much.
Thank you very much.